Hello and welcome to another 1 hour mod challenge. My name is Olof.
My name is Erik.
And today we're going to tackle a Gantt chart.
Yes, last time if you viewed our previous video, we did a donut chart and we spent the hour doing that, but I think we were more or less ready with the donut chart in half an hour. So let's see how long time it takes to make a Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is a little bit more specific chart type that is currently not available in Spotfire, but it's using the mod framework. We hope that we can show that it's quite easy to make your own Gantt chart.
Yeah, so we will start off with a demo dataset that I created off a simple house project. And we will also use one of the TypeScript examples from the mods GitHub repo. Let me share my screen. So before I started here, we went to the Spotfire Mods GitHub repo and downloaded the source code. And for this session, I picked the spider chart based in D3, and it's a Webpack project, and it will simplify the way we install dependencies. I also found an existing Gantt library on NPM called Gantt, and we will use that when we build our Gantt visualization in Spotfire. So behind me here in Visual Studio Code, I've opened this example and I've renamed the folder to 1 hour Gantt mod. And the first thing I think we should do is go to our manifest in static and update the ID of our mod, because it's no longer a spider chart mod. This is a Gantt 1 hour Gantt.
Yes, and the name as well.
Gantt chart. And
sounds great. We should remove most of the content, I guess. Properties.
Yeah, we can
dataView
remove
definition.
All of these. Definitely. Let's clean out, because we will not use any properties. We will use a data view, and our Gantt, I don't think we'll need a color axis. We can
we'll see.
We can keep that for now. So the first thing I will do is install the Gantt library. So I'll do npm install save dev and type Gantt. We'll see how long it takes to install. And
in this version, I guess this TypeScript, we have the bundler. Did we have that in the last?
No, last time we used the very, very plain JavaScript example, where we just list our files and use plain script tags. This time we will use Webpack.
The Webpack bundler will create a bundle.js out of our TypeScript files.
Yes.
So the only things we need to include at the bottom is the index.html as always, and some style sheets and the bundle.js.
Yeah. So even though we have many TypeScript files here, it will be a single JavaScript file as output. I will also start our development server here in a right-hand terminal, because this example doesn't start that automatically. And I will start our code in watch mode by running the terminal run build task. And let's see if we get something visible, or should we go directly to try to just copy over the code? I think we can go directly to the Gantt chart. We'll fix issues.
TS.
Keep us in TS. So the Gantt chart example, here we have our development server started with a mod manifest with a Gantt chart. And let's pick this example code visible in the npm repository. And we go over here and we have like a function. Let's export it. Render Gantt. I prefer to do it like this. And
Okay.
Let's see here. In this example, we have an import here. Let's move that out. And we have a constant of data. Let's move that out as well.
Yeah, the purpose of that is that we can render something statically first, and then maybe add the data into as an argument to the render Gantt function.
Yeah, and we will use an SVG Gantt, I guess. Canvas and string. Yeah, we keep it minimal. And that means we can remove these. And we can remove this.
Okay.
And let's see here. We have an error here. So we need to relax a bit our TS config.
What did it say? The error?
It asked because we can't find any types for this package.
Okay.
And we need to go to our TS config, which is fairly strictly configured. So when you use TypeScript, you want the compiler to help you as much as possible. So a few of those things are unused local variables, allowing you to reach code, or telling you when you have unreachable code, and also when types are implicitly of the type any. And all of those are very helpful when you write your production code. But for this hour, we will make those less strict.
Yes.
And let's see here. And last thing is, maybe we can call this render Gantt from our index.ts.
But that's also a good point that you made, Olof, that to develop production-like code, it probably takes a little bit more than 1 hour.
Yes, I think so.
The intention of this this hour is mainly to show that it's possible to get something up and running, and that actually looks nice.
Yes.
But then there will be some testing and figure out all the edge cases that you want to solve if you want to make it into a generic mod. But for now, we just we don't want too many errors. We want to be able to write the code more freely, like this early return, and have unreachable code below, for example.
So let's see here. Yeah, so when I changed the TS config, Webpack didn't understand those changes, so I'll just need to restart this watcher, see if it works better for us now. And what I did here was go to index.ts, which is the entry point for this mod. And I imported our render Gantt function from Gantt Chart. And let's see here if we need to do anything else. Type string is not assignable type argument, never. So this is a case where, we need to be explicit about the type here. And it's because we switch to the implicit any, so the TypeScript compiler becomes unwary of the type of this.
But this is also example code that we took from the spider chart, or no? Wasn't?
And I will do a TS ignore here for now. See if we get anything running. Seems like we are at least compiling. Let's try to actually look at this in Spotfire. So in Spotfire, we have just open analysis and imported a single data table with a table here of a house construction project. So we have tasks with some kind of grouping of a parent task, like groundwork is part of the foundation, gravel, concrete, while the structure and roofing is part of the exterior. And this is something we want to visualize in a Gantt chart. And we connect to our development server through the mod visualization feature. So let's do dev mod here through the search feature. So we create a visualization mod and we connect to the project and we pick the port as normal. And let's see what we get. Do we have anything? Fail to read mod property. Property curve type does not exist.
Yes. We removed things from the manifest, but we kept a lot of the code.
All of the properties, yeah. So let's go to our index.ts and see if we can remove all of those properties. We could have kept those for simplicity's sake, but let's make it a bit more tricky for us. And
quite a lot.
Yeah, but we will not use this config because we are doing render Gantt here. So
we can remove most of it.
Yes, we can be nice and render signal complete.
So basically, the only thing we kept was the TypeScript project or the Visual Code project. So everything is set up for the Webpack bundler.
And we have a pen child of null. Yes, and that's because we are using SVG root here. But in our HTML file, we have actually a default mod container here. Let's use that one instead. See if we get something visible. Oh, we have a Gantt. Nice. And it looks like it's positioned a bit strangely right now. I prefer to get it nice and tidy. And oh, it's just maybe because of its current size. That's good. So let's keep it like that for now. Or maybe it should be centered in this container.
Yes, probably.
So let's fix that. And it's our CSS file here. We have mod container. And there's a bug here. We have justify self. It should be justify content, I think. Center. And now we have it centered. Nice.
Much better.
So now we have managed to get our Gantt into Spotfire, but showing only static data, which is defined here.
So then should we try to see how we can get the data in from Spotfire?
Yes. Okay. So what's the structure we need here?
Let's see what the data needs. It needs an identifier, some type.
Should we focus on types here, or should we just have a flat structure? So this seems to be some kind of group.
Yes, seems like well, we can remove that.
We don't need to change this static data. This can be an example.
Yeah, okay. True. But we probably need an ID.
Yes.
Or at least text start and percent.
So something that splits our data into being some kind of task. So each object here is one task, which means I would say a categorical axis, something that creates a hierarchy. And then a few measures like continuous axes, which contains our start and end date and maybe percent.
Sounds like a good start.
Let's not go into the other details unless we get
links. The links, okay, but we can look at the link on line 21 there. Target equals 12. Okay, so that's the target points to another ID. So maybe we don't need ID initially, but maybe the Gantt chart requires that.
Yeah, so let's we skip links for now and see how far we go. So if we go to our mod manifest, let's fix our dataView.
And the coloring seemed to be implicit by the Gantt chart itself.
Yeah, we didn't define any coloring here, so let's skip coloring for now.
Yeah,
that might be because this library doesn't have a concept of coloring. It's colors depending on some form of.
I think the Gantt chart doesn't Gantt chart have some implicit or coloring depending on if the task is overdue and the percentage done and things like that.
So our categorical axis should be a task categorical axis. And this seems like a correct. Bottom is a good placement.
We don't need to drop target. We can remove that if we want to, but making it tidy.
We can keep it for now.
Okay. And we need to start.
And we need a start. Yes.
And that's continuous. And what about
we don't need
a single
for this.
No, it's a single measure. And then we want to have a specific data type.
Yes.
So this is how we can configure the mod to accept different kind of data on the continuous axis. So we want it to be only datetime. By doing this also, Spotfire UI won't accept that you add anything else than datetimes. So that's good.
We need an end as well. And then we need something for the percentage.
Yes,
would be
that should be numeric then,
and not datetime. And these have defaults, so you don't need to pass in a data types.
But it could be explicit.
And this should be %, I would say.
And I guess what you described here on line 46, that data type for %, that is the default.
Yes, this
continuous.
We could have skipped this. So let's see how that looks in the UI. If we reload the manifest, we can see that we dropped the color axis, and now we have a task, a start, an end, a %. And none of them are set right now.
No.
So I would say in our data, we can use the parent task and task. Let's say task only first. And as a start date, we need to set a aggregation method, which would be the first start date of those available rows.
Yes. Yeah, the mod.
Or the min, I would say. It's
the start will be the min, yes.
Yeah.
And the end should be the max. This is Spotfire always, or the mod framework, I would say, should say, it's always it's only using aggregated data views. So you cannot get hold of kind of the raw data. It will always be aggregated since we so the continuous axis will have an aggregation method on them.
Yeah, and right now we can see that we have a lot of Gantt charts, and that's because this library didn't anticipate to be rendered over and over again like this. So we need to do some simple clearing of the UI. So in our exported function, let's just do a simple document query selector of our mod container. And let's say the inner HTML is always blank string. And do I need to be explicit? Yes. So in TypeScript, when you do a search for like this, it might be null. And it's not smart enough to understand that we actually have a mod container in our HTML. But we know that that container exists. So we use an exclamation mark here to say this will definitely be typed of HTML elements. Let's see if that makes any difference. So if I just try to switch this.
Nothing happens.
Good.
Or nothing visible happens.
So let's make this Gantt accepting data instead. So let's say any right now as a data type.
So now we want to mimic that the data set.
Yeah, elements like this. So I copy this, and right now you can see that it is failing because we are not passing anything into our render Gantt.
So now in Beyond Change, this is what we usually do in all the mods. We get a data view, a Spotfire data view in this reader subscribe method, and we want to transform that into what the Gantt chart in this case wants the data to look like.
Yeah, so I'm going to use the data view here and pick out the hierarchy for our categorical axis, which is task. Yeah. And it's promise-based, so we need to await it. And after we've gotten that, we can get the root, which is the tasks, or say tasks hierarchy dot root. Oh my God, like that, and let's await that as well. So the root hierarchy node here, we can use that to access all of the leaves of the hierarchy, and we can map them into our task objects that the Gantt chart is expecting. So let's create something like a tasks variable and do root dot
leaves, I guess.
And here we have a leaf as an argument. And
you want map?
Yes, of course.
To map that.
Yes, I was. This returns a list which we will map over. And this one. Thank you.
Did you copy the structure that we wanted to?
Yes. So I will just not paste in brackets like that. I'll paste in like this. So this is the structure we want.
And the list of those?
Yes, the list will be of the tasks here.
Oh yeah,
So
okay, sorry. So you were in the
plan is to just pass in
function.
that list of tasks.
Excellent.
And the ID here is maybe what we can begin with, something to identify each row. And
I guess the leaf, we got the leaf index.
Leaf index or key?
Well, we can do the leaf index as numeric for now.
Let's keep it like that.
Yeah.
And we don't have a parent.
No, let's remove that. The text of it, that should be the
maybe formatted, the leaf formatted value. And
yes, okay. So the difference between formatted value and formatted path. Now we get the leaf. The leaf is the leaf node of that hierarchy. So if we have multiple columns on that axis, you will get the formatted value of the last column in this case.
Yeah, we can try to make the hierarchy deeper by adding something.
Yeah, but that's good. We can show the difference, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So we need to
start.
Get these.
Those should be JavaScript dates.
Yes, and those are available from the rows of this leaf, or the row in this case, since we only have one axis. So let's say let row equal leaf.rows.
If we would have had multiple categorical axes in this in the mod manifest, we could get multiple rows from one leaf. But since we now, as you said, Olof, there's only one categorical axis, then and we don't have any non-aggregating measures, then we know that there will be only one row, or maximum 0, or it could be 0 as well.
It could be 0, since if you kept the hierarchy and you filtered out the rows, yes. Exactly, so we have something here that needs to handle.
Yeah, that's a lot of small things you need to think about.
But we are thinking happy cases right now, right?
Yes, happy cases get something working for your specific data set.
And now you're value here,
and that is always now a JavaScript date.
Yes. And the row continues percent value, so that will be our numeric. If I save this, let's see, compiles, and we have data. A bit unstructured, maybe. We have at least all of the tasks. Should we sort them to be according to their start date?
Sounds good.
More like let's use the lovely sort method here, where we have 2 arguments, T1 and T2, 2 tasks, and we can use T1.start minus T2.start. That should be enough to mutate this list.
So but now
we need to
the start TypeScript doesn't know that, or Visual Studio Code doesn't know that the start is now always a date.
Yeah, so I'm fooling the compiler here to just say they are of any type. We could have been stricter with an interface here, but we will not use that for now. So I just take minus here of 2 dates.
Yeah, we can compare 2 dates.
We get
lovely
a correct layout. And you said we wanted to have a structure here.
We see, but if you can look at this, don't add anything there yet.
Sorry, I will remove it.
So if you look at the data set, the data table below, you actually have, on the top in the Gantt chart, we have 1 painting. And at the bottom, there are 2 rows, both ID 11 and ID 12 at the bottom of the screen right now, that has painting on it.
Yes.
And this is because, as I said, Spotfire is always aggregating this data view, and we only used the task column to create this hierarchy. So it will actually combine those 2 rows, 11 and 12, into one. So we want that task to be more identifying that specific task. So that's what you were trying to do now, I think. Adding parent task to
Exactly. I wouldn't want to add one extra level of this hierarchy so that we have a parent task, and that will make it clear that painting the interior or the exterior are two different tasks.
Yes.
So let's add the parent task and move it to be the parent here.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we have one painting here and one painting here.
Yeah, but we can't tell the difference. So if we want to show the difference, how should we do that? Why doesn't the mod API now, or why doesn't our Gantt mod show those two leaves in the task hierarchy different?
Yes, that's because we have our formatted value, I guess, of the leaf.
Yeah. And that is the leaf node is, as I said, that corresponds to the leaf then in the last expression on that hierarchy or categorical axis. So if we want to show the entire path for that leaf, from the we can change to formatted path just to see how that looks like.
And now
now it shows that it's two different. But there was this concept of parent, or was it? No, it was called group in the Gantt.
And there was something here in the Gantt chart with
a text
group
type.
And a parent property as well.
The parent, okay. Okay.
And the links.
Yes.
And we are 34 minutes in, so we have actually gotten into a Gantt chart that is fed Spotfire data. We have no interaction right now, so if you click it, nothing happens. I think we can add that because in the Gantt GitHub repo, there was an options interface, and they have an on-click handler. So I think we can add that first and maybe tackle the links after that.
Yeah.
So if I go to index here, we will do mark callback, which will do leaf.mark. That's often the pattern here that we want to mark the leaf. And in the Gantt chart, I will pass in on click handler. And if we go back to the interface, it said that it returns an item. So we can just say item here and the item.mark. Let's see if that has an effect. Ooh, nice.
Yep.
We are marking the rows. And here we could see, was it up here? No, that one.
Yeah.
So here we have one task, the exterior structure, but it's split by two rows in Spotfire because the responsible is both me and the construction company. And this is also, once again, Spotfire is aggregating the data. So it can only create one row here because this is the structure or the hierarchy that it is splitting on. And it is not affecting those two unique values here, me and construction firm.
Yeah, but should we tackle the links?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
So we need another column here, I guess, which is something that we can tackle. And we need some kind of data about the links.
We created that. Yes, we can say that we did actually prepare quite a lot on creating a data set that is nice to use by
so we have a nice
Gantt chart
document here with our tasks with task IDs, and we have another sheet here with IDs where we have link source and link targets. And in Gantt fashion, we have the finish to start type of all of them right now.
Yeah, and currently there is the mod framework only accepts one single data view. So we need to add these columns, I guess. But then we can go to you're in the
Yeah, I
the
switched
data
over to
canvas.
the data canvas here, where we have our single
Did
data source.
Did you already include that data
No,
table?
so my plan is just to import that from the
Okay.
sheet itself.
Okay.
So in my recent data, since I opened that file, I have the Gantt house project example data. And we will switch to the links. And we will pick that. And right now we didn't have an automatic match between the columns. So we need to help Spotfire out here. And let's add a match. And in this case, I know that the task ID is what I'm using to identify task. And the link source is task IDs. And the link target is task IDs. And I want to make it a link from the task ID to the link source. So we know we want to add a column for the link target and the link type. So here we can see that we have added a link target column and a link type. And we can see that in order for ID 9 here, which if we make this wider, ID 9 is the task ID here, of course. So ID 9 is the flooring. In order for that to begin, ID 6 needs to finish, which is the insulation. So we have a dependency here now on different tasks.
Good.
And that's okay. And that's okay. And if we toggle this off, we can now see that our data table that we had here now has an extra. No, it doesn't, because we added that column afterwards. But let's make it easy for us and just toggle that on and off again. Now we have a link target here. So we need to add a column where we can find that data.
Or an axis.
An axis, yes, thank you. And let's copy the task categorical axis, because we need something that is splitting here.
Yeah, we could see that. We didn't show that, but we actually got more rows now from in the data view, or in that table. So we got, for example, ID 7 is now duplicated. Yeah. The walls. Yep.
So it has dependency both on 9 and 10.
Yeah.
So let's call this link, maybe.
Yeah.
And
sounds
save.
Good.
And since we did a manifest change, we need to reload that manifest. And now we have a link column here. So let's add our link target. And now we're getting into the territory where we are needing to identify different rows or different hierarchies here from 2 different hierarchies.
Yeah. So if you look at the data table above, it's quite easy to see the how that link works, of course, as you described. But we don't have that link task ID, where we want to get. Okay, you added link target, so we get that ID, but we don't have the task ID of the actual task in the data set, or in our data view in the model.
Yeah.
So we need to have that.
So let's replace the task, I guess, then with our task ID.
Oh, you added one.
Or we can remove. Let's make this a bit wider. And let's remove the task and the parent.
Oh, you did. Okay. That's a task ID now. Yeah.
Or did you want me to have?
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah. But that doesn't look very nice.
Yes, not very informative.
But we can make that work later. Should we just add the link now in this, so it's easy to see how it works?
So let's go into our index.ts again, where we're doing the mapping of our rows or our leaves.
So now every leaf, we have the leaf from the task hierarchy, and now since we can split on another hierarchy as well, that means that each leaf in the task hierarchy can actually contain multiple rows, and each row then will explain a certain link.
Yes. So I will add a links property here, which is what we used in the original data to explain these relationships.
Yeah.
And I will use a mapping of all of the rows in this leaf. So I will use the leaf rows dot map. This will be a row, and I will make a bit of a space here for us. So we will return something of something with target and something with a type of FS, if I remember correctly. Let's just see here. It was finish to start.
Finish
the target
okay.
is an ID here. So now we need to identify.
Yes. And now we would like to, we would want to identify it using the same ID as we have on line 60.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So then we get into this. Okay. Now we can change this. We use leaf index because it was numeric, but there's another way to identify the leaf as well, and that is the key, which is always a string. But we assume that ID can be both strings and numbers in this case.
Yeah, I think that Gantt library will handle that.
Yeah.
So
hopefully.
From here, I will use the categorical link column axis, sorry. And I will use the value here. And since it's categorical, the value will always be an array when it is set, even though it's a single value or a single level. And we need to have that value or the key of the last.
So what we would have wanted here is actually to restrict this categorical column to only contain one single expression.
Yes, and we could do that in the UI, right, with saying a limit here that we stop rendering if the hierarchy has more than one level.
But yeah, we can assume that it is just one level, so we can pick the first one, or maybe.
Should we do that like that? Yeah.
We assume quite a lot here anyway.
We assume a lot, yes.
Yeah.
And we need a value, I guess.
Or the key, because we wanted to have the same thing as on line 60.
Yes. And let's save this. And let's see. When we are rendering links.
And now we're using the key. When we use the link, we use the key of the link target column. And when we create each item, each task in the Gantt chart, we use the key render from the task ID. So now I mean that is the requirement now when configuring this Gantt chart is that the link let's see, the link link axis corresponds to the value of the link expression, the link target now must correspond to the last expression in the task axis.
Yeah, so this would break right now then if I would add like parent task at the end here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But now if you switch those around, parent task and task ID, now we get it back.
Yeah. So here we have like a dependency on how you set up your data view. And right now it doesn't look very nice because we have still these IDs as identifiers.
But luckily we have something to fix that in Spotfire.
Yes,
I guess.
So right now we have these task ID, which is an identifier in Spotfire data flyout. And we can switch what's the display value for a column. So we can still have the key to be the identifier, but what is visible is another column.
Yeah, or actually the task then.
Yes. So if we hide this,
now
we have something that looks correct.
And we can also remove now the formatted, if we want to get back to a nicer formatted path to formatted value. That would be preparing for actually having that type as well. But I'm not sure we have enough time to do that. Now we have 2 painting rows, and everything looks nice.
So we have a Gantt chart powered by Spotfire data here. We have links, and we are 45 or 47 minutes in of this recording.
And even with marking.
Even with marking, yes.
But we don't have any marking effects.
We don't have any marking effects. And this is like a limitation, I think, of the Gantt library. If we go to this GitHub page, I don't see any style options for a certain item. So otherwise, we could have used a fill property or something like that to get coloring of our marking.
Some background or something.
But there is nothing that is
nothing like that.
Like selecting it, unfortunately. That would have been, and that's one of the problems when you use an existing library, because you don't want to go into the source code of that library, and then you are limited about what's the API of that library. So even though, in this case, Spotfire has the ability to identify marked rows and add coloring, the library we used for this session is a bit limited in that regard. So using a custom library is very nice to get started, but sometimes you run into a wall because there are limitations of what you can do. But this is more or less a working example. There are definitely problems here, like we have these happy cases. We can show maybe just an example where we have this, let's pick out the links hierarchy, and if you add another level, we show an error message just to see how you can set up some kind of guards around your code, because if you know limitations of your mod, I think it's good to show those to the user when they set it up incorrectly.
Now we start. We also will break on line 59. That's a little bit easier to maybe fix
59
first.
Yeah,
if we filter out a certain task and we limit, and
we can show that example. I think. Let's do if the links hierarchy levels is something else than 1.
It can be 0, and but then
the links hierarchy can also be null here, because it might not be set up.
We will get a link. We will get the hierarchy. We will always get a hierarchy because it's a categorical axis, but it may be empty.
Yes, it may be empty. So if it's, let's say, if the links hierarchy is empty, or if the links
you could get greater or equal than greater than 1. It's the same thing. If it's empty, the levels will be 0. Levels length. Levels is an array.
Oh, levels is an array. Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess we. No. What's the issue here now? Object is possibly undefined.
Exclamation mark.
I know it's always there.
Yeah. On the first one, the task hierarchy, the links hierarchy. Yeah.
And in that case, let's say the mod controls, and we want to use an error overlay. Please only use 1 level on the link axis, and we use the use a category here as well.
Error show, the show method of error overlay.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's use a category, and it's limitations, something that we can use to group this. And if we go past this, so this wasn't working, let's hide this instead. So the next time we go into the unchanged handler, we will clear out this category of errors. Let's save this and go back, and let's try to add another link type here. Did we get anything? Nothing was shown. Is it because, yes, I need to also
return. Yes. Then it should be okay. Yep.
Like
We'll
that.
use one
And
level.
let's remove the link type, and we get
now,
back.
if you remove the link target now,
Remove that.
that's also we want that to work. So let's make that work.
Yes.
So if you change that to be if it's greater or equal than 2 or greater than 1, and remove the empty part.
Yep.
That means we'll get past there. Okay.
Yeah.
But now we will.
I mean,
it will.
Yeah.
Yes. Then it will break. Yes, because the link axis is now empty. So then I guess on line 75, when we do that leaf rows, the mapping part, that's line 78 that broke, I would.
Yes, it's when we try to pick out that categorical value. If there is no expression and you haven't checked for that, you get an error.
So then if you do links hierarchy, no, line 75.
Yes, line 75.
The links hierarchy dot is empty. Then you return just an empty array. Yeah, exactly.
That, yeah.
That should work.
And
yeah, no links. Yeah.
No
and
links,
if we add
nice.
then a link, an expression to the link.
And I think we should have another type error when we have no rows. So right now we render only the filtered out.
Yeah. But if you add that back just to show that it works.
Okay. Yeah.
If you, no, not there. Not in the code. In the mod.
Yes.
The links.
Oh, absolutely. So we have the link target.
The link target. Yeah. So now it's supposed to look like that. And if there's no rows, if you mark something, I guess you need to limit by marking.
Yeah, if I
or you filter out something, yeah.
If I filter out something, yes. If I filter out like the construction firm, we get a lot less of rows, and the hierarchy is also shrunk to only show the filtered rows.
Yes.
But in Spotfire, we can decide if the hierarchy that is constructed is based on the filtered values or of the original data. So if we go to our
the tasks,
go to settings.
So, but this is also this is case then that show all values, then it will break, I guess.
I think it will break, yes, because
does this library have a way to show empty rows?
I don't think you can handle empty rows.
No, I would assume it can't. No.
So I think,
but we need to handle that if we want to be production worthy.
So we need to be production worthy here. Yeah. So the row we pick out, the first row, that can be undefined.
But if we just return if leaf.rows the length on line 65, maybe.
Yeah, we can just check if row is defined here or not. I think it's the easiest one.
Yes, okay.
So if we have a row, we return this.
Yeah.
And in other cases, what do we return in that case?
Return
we still
null.
have a leaf key, but our start will be maybe undefined, just to see what
percentage
the library handle it.
Yeah. And then we know we don't have any. It doesn't matter. We don't have any rows, so we can return, or maybe just an empty array there for links.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, it did.
It handled.
That's not good.
No start and end.
Perfect.
So now if we just toggle back the construction firm, we render back. Nice. So this is getting more and more robust as we continue on fixing these problems. But I think we can stop here because we have reached sort of the end of what we can do in 1 hour.
Yeah, it would have been nice if we would have had maybe 20 minutes more. We could have done the parent as well, or the type. I would say.
Grouping, yeah,
and the group, and the type of the link, and the grouping, and the type of the task as well.
Yeah, but I'm glad we got this far, and I think it's a nice example of how the problems that arise when you are trying to make multiple data views work without multiple data views. because the Gantt chart has these links, and we need to find a way to structure the data in a specific way to handle this fairly specific visualization type. But I think the hierarchies makes it manageable to.
Let's switch back to the Gantt chart.
Yes.
I always like to see new kind of visualizations in Spotfire, and it's so easy to make them. And it would have been nice maybe to remove in the mod manifest to have the axis selectors not showing those. Those are quite cluttered.
Yes, absolutely. We can.
There's just small things that will make it look nicer. Placement.
So we have a none placement.
None, yes, and just have them in the legend.
Yes.
Because usually we place them to the left, right, or top or bottom if they make sense. But here I don't think it makes much sense to have them anywhere specific. So it's better to just have them in the legend.
So let's load the manifest.
Yeah. Nice.
More space.
Much better. Perfect.
Yes, and the next step would be to just disconnect this mod visualization, and
share it.
Now we could
world.
Share it. Yeah. So thank you for watching.
Hope you enjoyed, and that you gained some more knowledge how we think about the mod framework. And
and I hope we can continue making a few more of these videos showing how you get started with a mod development in a short amount of time, showing some tips and tricks.
So until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.